And this is just a quick, candid conversation that I wanted to pop in and have, man. It's later than what we usually do things, man. But I just wanted to have this conversation, man. And if my kids come in and they like, daddy, daddy, whatever, right? Part in that, man. But yeah, because it's like I'm a person just like the rest of y'all. So I'm on social media just like the rest of y'all. I use YouTube just like the rest of y'all, and I see that there's a lot of noise out there, man. Like just so much noise. So many people with so much to say, man. Everybody pulling artists in 101 different directions. One person say you should do this, another person say you should do that. One person say this is a good company to use, another person say that's a good company to use, and you're like, "Oh man, what do I do? Where do I go? Who do I listen to?" And I just wanted to have like a honest conversation about how things kind of like break down from the standpoint of where the information is coming from and how everything kind of like flows, man. So it's like everybody has an objective, man. Like marketers want to sell you marketing services. They want you to sign up and pay money for them to promote your music, and that's their objective. And it's like with marketing, by and large, the most potent way for you to convince an artist to use your service is with numbers. An artist hears that somebody got 100,000, like you say, hey, I got so and so 100,000 streams. Artists look and they say, wow, man, you got so and so 100,000 streams. I'd like to get 100,000 streams, and then they want to come and they pay you for your service. Same thing with Instagram followers and TikTok views and all of those things. If you can throw out large numbers, you're likely to get a lot of artists' interest and a lot of artists that will pay you for that service. Now, the key is what's behind those numbers. Like, what's happening? Why are those numbers being driven? And that is what determines the actual value of the numbers. So it's like if an artist goes and gets 100,000 streams, but those streams came from some BS playlist, and none of those people know who they are, care who they are, then those 100,000 streams don't really matter. It's an insignificant number of streams, because it's not backed by anything, man. I mean, the reality of the situation is that streams pay you 3 thousandths of a cent per stream. You're making $3,000 from a million streams, and you have artists with editorial playlist placements that don't get a million streams in a year, like an entire year. They don't get a million dollars. I mean, a million streams. So it's like most artists aren't even making $3,000 a year from streaming revenue. So if you're looking at it from the standpoint, oh my God, streams, this guy got so and so streams, it's like, listen, that's not the way to be thinking about it. You know what I'm saying? Because streams don't really like pay much, man. And then you also have to take into account like what I be telling y'all about, and I've said this like a number of times on this in this space about just how streams are paid. So it's like the way you're paid for streams is you're paid based on market share. You're paid based on market share. So if you have a slice of pizza with 4 slices, you have 4 people, everybody gets a slice. 8 people, everybody get half a slice. 16 people, everybody get half of a half. And the more artists, like let's you look at it from the standpoint of each person that's getting a slice as an artist. The more artists, the more slices the pie gets cut into. So the more artists earning streams, the less money everybody makes for their streams. So it's not like getting more streams means that you're gonna make more money. It can mean that you make less, especially if it's like a system that somebody is selling or somebody is giving away for free that everybody can implement. Then that means all of the artists start getting streams, and all of the artists basically get the impact of that fact, which means that they all make less money. So it's like streaming isn't like sales. So if you selling a digital download of a release and you're selling that digital download for $10, and I'm selling my digital download for $10, and we both sell a digital download to somebody for $10, we both get $10. You got $10 from them, I got $10 from them. Streaming doesn't work like that. If we both are splitting revenue from the platform based on how many streams we got. If somebody come in and listen to me equal amount of times as they listen to you, then that revenue gets split in half. If somebody else come and play and listen, then that revenue gets split in three. And more people come, the revenue gets split in 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. So it starts to reduce as more people get streamed. So that's one thing you got to take into account. The more artists, the more streams, the less everybody is making. Your revenue is not escalating. So you can't be looking at those streams as like, yes, if I could get these streams, I'm going to make a living off of these numbers. Everybody wants to blow you over with streams, right? Everybody wants to blow you over with streams because that number is like, oh wow, and they want to try to manipulate you into using their service because of those streaming raw numbers. But like I said again, it's what's under that. So when it comes to streams, you don't want to so much look at the raw number of, oh, he got this guy 100,000 streams, but it's like, how many saves came from those streams? What was the save rate? How many times did a unique listener stream that song? Like, what was the number of streams per listener, for that song? And with a lot of marketing companies, when you see these things on Instagram and stuff like that, it's really key for you to know who they promoted for and when. Because sometimes, and I've seen it too, man. Like I said, again, I'm on these platforms just like y'all. So it's like somebody will say, they got somebody 10 million streams, but the artist was getting like 1 million streams before they started using a service. And if you know anything about these streaming platforms, they have algorithms. And once you're in the algorithm, you're in the algorithm. And the algorithm is pushing you out to more listeners and stuff like that. So at that point, it's kind of easy to get the numbers because you're already in the system. So somebody saying that they helped somebody that already was getting millions of streams get more millions of streams doesn't mean they're going to be able to do anything for you, because those artists are already coming with certain things structured and situated. It's kind of like people that talk about what they did for artists that had a name, and like let's say you have some rock band that was popular once upon a time, but they don't know how to market, but they already have a fan base. They just don't know how to tap into their fan base. So a marketing firm comes along and just effectively runs ads to people who are already familiar with the band, and then the band gets sales because all of their old fans say, oh wow, this guy is still around. And then they come and they buy because they're familiar with that artist. And then that marketing company says, we ran a campaign for so-and-so and look how good it did. Look how many sales we did. Yeah, that works for an old band that's reconnecting with old fans, especially if they're from a time where people used to buy music and stuff like that. But that might not work for a new artist in a new time with new fans that are streaming and not people who will buy music like that, right? It's not something that will apply to you, especially when you're advertising and cold calling and reaching people who don't know who you are. And a lot of you guys have already experienced that. Y'all taken some of these courses that's like, I'm going to show you how to sell music online, and you get to advertising and promoting your music and getting people's email addresses and then trying to sell people releases and stuff like that. And you get a few sales, but like not enough sales to make a living off of, because it's like, it's more to it than that, And like I said, again, in particular with Spotify and the streaming, you got to look at what's behind those numbers, Like a good thing to do a lot of times, man, is to research. Again, you want to know who this person promoted for and when they promoted for that person, and what was, so you could look and see how was this person performing before they started working with this marketing company. What were they doing before you, to be able to gauge whether that company actually did anything for them significantly, And then it's a matter of looking into, the song they promoted, going to Twitter, running Twitter searches, and seeing if those numbers resulted in any kind of fandom, right? Because it's one thing if somebody got like 10,000 streams or something like that. Those are numbers that are okay, right? And you could have people who have interest in you, but it might not be noise behind that number of streams. If somebody got 10,000, 20,000 streams, it might not be not a lot of noise there. But if somebody is throwing out crazy numbers, like a marketing company says, hey, we promoted for an artist and we got that artist 100,000 streams or 10 million streams or something like that, it should be noise. I don't understand how somebody can get 10 million streams, especially if they're talking about like they got it in a month or something like that, and there not be no noise. Like there not be anybody talking about that artist. And then you got to understand how to decipher what's being said about that artist. Like if you go and you Twitter search an artist, like you can see whether what people are saying is something that's authentic, you know? So it's like you go to Twitter, and if it's just like friends commenting, you know, like, yo, yeah, man, I check your joint. Yo, man, good look, yo, we really blowing up. Like that type of stuff. You're like, oh, okay. You know, if it's like blogs that they know that support them, you're like, yeah, okay. What you're looking for is like fan commentary, like people adding other people and like, yo, you need to check out this song. You know, you want to see stuff like that. You want to see people putting people in a list like, yo, you know, I like these songs. I like this song from that artist, that song from this artist, and that song from you, right? Or whatever artist you're researching. You want to see that type of stuff. You want to see people having debates and people chiming into other people's conversations where somebody says, hey, you know, these are what new artists are you listening to? And somebody is on there like, here's this is one of the new artists that I'm listening to. You want to see that kind of stuff. You want to see tweets where people are like, yo, you know how if somebody's streaming a song on SoundCloud and they share it, it'll have like listening now on SoundCloud or something like that. You want to see those kind of tweets. You want to see tweets from Spotify where somebody shared the song from Spotify, you know, things like that. Those are things that you want to see that tells you that those numbers meant something and that they're just not empty numbers, because effectively you don't have a career unless you have fans. Really, you don't have a career unless you have fans. Even if you're getting streams, that's a hustle. So it's like with streams, if Spotify goes down, right? Because Spotify is the main platform that drives all of the streams because of their infrastructure and the way that they can float everybody through Discover Weekly and all of these different playlists. But it's like if Spotify goes down and you don't have fans, then career is over, right? And that's like a hustle. You know, people sell cigarettes on the street, right? Back in the days where it's like Lucy's, people on the street selling Lucy's, people doing different things to try to make some money for whatever bills that they got in for the immediate. But it's like if those doors close, then it's like they're just done. You know, not to say that careers can't be shut down neither, like with technology putting people out of work and stuff like that. But it's like careers tend to be more long term, more sustainable. So that's what you kind of looking to build with your music career. You're trying to build something sustainable. So it's not even about grandiose numbers. It's more so about fans, man. You know, so if you advertise your music and you get 2,000 streams, but it's from 700 listeners that really rock with you, that's a better performing campaign than a campaign that got you 100,000 streams from 100,000 listeners that really don't care to stream a song from you ever again. You know, it's not just those surface numbers, man. It's what's underneath the numbers. And another thing for you to understand too is the fact that damn near anything can work depending on what kind of music you do. Like there are different rules for different styles of music. So it's like if an artist does pop music, you know, and by pop music, I mean just music that applies to a general audience. So it's like any song that becomes popular amongst the general population gets classified as pop. So if you if you go and Google a term like 90s pop, you'll find songs like Getting Jiggy With It, which is a rap song. You know, you'll find songs like Baby Got Back, which is a rap song. You'll find songs like Who Let the Dogs Out, which is a rap song, but they're songs that the general public took to and rock with, right? So it's like that is something that you got to factor into it too. When somebody is bragging on what performance they got working with X artists, it's like, what kind of music did that artist do? Because it's like certain kinds of music will perform well on TikTok and will perform well in different places. If it's music for like the general population, you can pretty much put that anywhere, really, right? So it's like a Taylor Swift song does not have to be like there's no intricate targeting that has to go into promoting a Taylor Swift song. It's a song that can rock with pretty much anybody, really. It's a song that can play in a supermarket, a grocery store, at a festival for all ages, things like that, man. So you got these songs that are fun, cute songs, come with a dance, all of these different types of things, and those songs will perform well just about anywhere. Doesn't need like a massive amount of targeting. So if somebody says, "Hey, I promoted and had a campaign and the campaign did well," and you look into it and it's one of those kinds of songs, but you do like niche music, then maybe that system might not work for you. So it's more so not looking at just the raw results, but looking at the system, like how did they get those numbers? What did they use to get those numbers, right? Because you got to see if that's something that's applicable to you and what you do, because like I said, you got pop hits, and then you got genre-based hits where it's like somebody makes like you got like Juicy from Biggie. That's like a genre hit. That was a big song for hip hop audiences. You had Cream, a big hip hop song. You had songs like Gangsta Paradise, which was like a pop song that went beyond just the genre. But then you have other groups, like in my era, it was like Boot Camp Click and Smith and Wesson and those kinds of guys who made like underground hip hop, where it's like people who were fans of Mace and Puffy and commercial hip hop that played on the radio weren't too keen on Smith and Wesson and Boot Camp Click and that grimy kind of underground rap. That wasn't the kind of music that they were into, right? It wasn't like party music, so they wasn't gonna rock with that style of music. So if somebody was effective at promoting an artist like Mace, they might not be good at promoting an artist like Smith and Wesson or something like that. Like when it comes to niche music, that's where marketers really earn their keep. Because that's when you got to kind of like put your hat on and strategize and get to trying to find who's gonna like this music, So it's like when it's pop, or when it's like a good song for the all-encompassing genre, it's not too difficult, right? You could run a promoted boost. You could run a boost on Facebook and have that song perform well if it applies to a general audience. It's when your music doesn't resonate with the masses. That's when marketing comes in play, And by and large, if somebody has a song that is supposed to resonate with the mass audience, like it's not a niche song, and it's not a song that's like fits some kind of subgenre where you gotta like try to identify who the audience is. And y'all might not like what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna just keep it funky with y'all 100. Odds are there really is no future in the music for that artist. And that's being real with you. I mean, the reality of the situation is, it's like when it comes, and y'all are music listeners as well as your music artists, and y'all know you hear a song and it's like, yo, what's that? You know what I'm saying? And it don't take a whole lot of convincing to get you to really like, oh man, you hear a song and you're like, you ready to make a move, look that person up, check them out, tell other people about them, and it's real. What some people talk about when they say good music spreads, right? It's just like you look at in the days before the internet and all of this other stuff, you had word of mouth. People pressed up CDs. They went to the street. They handed them out. They gave them to people. People listened to them. They say, oh, this is hot. They tell other people, and then it spread from person to person to person to person. And that's really the way that it works when music is good. Now, it the artists that won't work for is artists that are a bit more reclusive, right? They don't have a whole bunch of friends like that. They don't have a crew. They're not like connected with their family members, where their family members aren't going to be super supportive and telling everybody about them and things like that. So artists that kind of like that have great music, but are more of a loner, right? They're loners. They don't really have a whole bunch of people that they can go to have that music spread through their network. So the artists that are more so loners, those are the artists that have to advertise when they have good music. But an artist that is more of a extrovert, that's out there, that's has friends and family and stuff like that, for artists like that, if they put something up and everybody listens to it and it doesn't go anywhere, odds are it's not going to go anywhere. And advertising it is just putting good money after bad. Like you're trying to force the issue, but yo, people heard it and they just wasn't rocking with it, right? It just wasn't resonating with it. So it's like niche music might have to advertise because you got to find an audience. An artist that's a bit of a loner might have to advertise because they got to find an audience. An artist that has great music, that has a network and that exposes it to their network, and their network just don't respond, odds are it's just not a good song. You know what I'm saying? It's just not a good song. And you can force the issue, but that ain't gonna really do nothing, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that artists kind of got to recognize. And it's nothing to hang your head about and get upset about and, get mad with your friends and your network about. It just means that you got work to do. And either you're going to do the work or you're going to pack it in, fold up and leave. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you say, okay, well, let me get better, because marketers can help you to a point, like people want to hire a marketer and expect for the marketer to be like Superman for them, right? A silver bullet. All marketing does, and not marketing really, let's focus, it's advertising. Advertising. All advertising does is take what you have and shout out to the world that they should check it out. That's all advertising does. Hey, everybody, listen to this song. That's what it is. And then you can optimize it to try to identify who responds and pump it out to more people. But by and large, if the song is not a great song, advertising is not going to do anything for it. You'll get some people that listen to it, but it ain't going to go beyond that. People will stream it and then, it'll die there. So it's like advertisers cannot make people like your music. They cannot make somebody become a fan of your music. They can't make somebody join your mailing list or something like that, So it's like with PR. You're not paying a PR person to get press. You are paying a PR person to reach out to their contacts and to pitch you, to say, hey, here's this guy, here's his story, here's his music. Will you consider covering him? And the PR firm listens to the music and they say, well, I don't think this guy has an interesting story. I don't think this guy's music is interesting enough to resonate with our readers, my readers. I'm not going to cover him. And you can't turn around and say, well, the PR company didn't do their job. They robbed you or whatever have you. You paid them to reach out to their contacts to try to get you press. They did that. They did their job. An advertiser, marketing company, you paid them to get you exposure, to get your music heard. If they go out there and they get your music heard, they did their job. If people don't respond to the music, that's on you and your music. Now, you can look at it and try to dissect what they did. And if you come to the conclusion, hey, they targeted wrong, they reached out to the wrong kind of listeners, and that's why my campaign performed so poorly, then okay, try another marketer, right? Try another target group, things of that nature. But if you feel like your music reached the right audience and that audience effectively said no, then that's on you. Even with playlist placements, people use services like Playlist Push and they don't get playlisted, or they get playlisted, but they don't get streams. And they say, oh man, this was a scam. It wasn't a scam. person that got the playlisted it. It's just he don't have listeners to his playlist, or maybe the people who listen to the playlist just looked at the famous artists who were on the playlist, streamed their songs, and ignored everybody else, right? It's a lot of different variables that go and play with it, man. And you kind of got to understand what it is that you're paying for and what you're getting yourself into, and also understand that it's multiple variables involved in it. It's not just, uh, advertising, it all works out and I'm famous, right? Is the music good enough? And a lot of times artists don't want to know. And I feel like that too, man, that, a lot of times nowadays, man, I feel like artists want to succeed despite their music and not because of their music, like it's like artists don't even care whether the song is good or not. It's just, how do I get streams for this music? The same way a lot of people don't care whether they actually have a reason for people to want to watch them on Instagram or something like that. They just want followers. How do I get followers? And it's like the simple question to that, the simple answer to that is do stuff that's worth people following you for, right? It's like if you talk about things that people find interesting, they'll follow you. If you do things that people find interesting, they'll follow you. If people don't find you interesting, they won't follow you, So you have people who aren't doing anything or giving anything that's bringing any kind of value to people's lives, but they want followers anyway, just to have followers, right? Just to feel like somebody effectively, and the reality of the situation is if you were bringing value to people's lives, you would have followers, right? If people loved your music, you'd have listeners, and like I said, again, if you don't have it's one thing, right? If your music is not out there, if nobody's heard your music, you can tell yourself, well, if people just heard it. But when you start putting your music out there, right? Like even if you run a promoted campaign, like a boost, which is like not the most efficient and effective way to market, but you still get the music out there and people still hear it. If you run a boost and you expose your music to 1 million people that hear your song and nothing comes from it, that's a pretty resounding no. You know what I'm saying? That's a pretty resounding no. Now, like I said, again, it comes down to different things, like, whether it's pop, genre, you can come to somebody like myself or, learn how to like do more advanced level targeting and try to drill down and identify an audience and stuff like that, but when you run that promoted post and you don't get responses, at the least, you don't have a pop hit. Right? If you ran that campaign targeting a hip hop audience, you don't have a genre hit, like a hit for your all-encompassing genre. Hey, you have a particular group of people who are gonna like this song. And now you have to advertise to find that particular group of people. And then it becomes a matter of what happens after you advertise. So you advertise, you get people that listen to your music, they like the music, then what? Because this is also another place where artists get stuck, where you advertise, you get some listeners, but then it's like you're looking for, I don't know, things to fall in your lap. And if things don't fall in your lap, now you're in a situation where you got some streams, but the streams ain't really like nothing to write home about. So you're not getting a return on your investment. So to a great extent, it might not make a whole world of sense to keep spending money to get streams. But then at the same time, you're not doing anything to earn any more money than what the streams drive for you. So you advertise, you get people in, but you're not selling anything, and the thing by and large most artists turn to trying to sell is merch. And merch is a bad idea, because most people don't care to buy merch. People don't want to buy a t-shirt or a hat or something like that for some artists who they barely know. People like your song or people like your album. And realistically, they will buy things that feed into that, right? Like if somebody listens to music on vinyl and you sell vinyl, they'll buy vinyl. If somebody listens to music on CDs and you sell CDs, they'll buy CDs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and it's like how we look at, how they got that report where they say 20% of Spotify listeners drive like 90% of the streams or something like that. It's micro sets of your audience that's going to drive most of your revenue. So you don't need all of your audience to buy CDs and vinyl, only a tiny fraction. If you got 100 people within everybody that is a fan of yours that will buy a vinyl record from you for $30, yo, you got some money. You know what I'm saying? $30 times 100, what's that, 3,000, right? You got some money, man. You know? So it's like, if you got 100 people that are into your music that will buy CDs, $10 a CD, you know what I'm saying? You got some money, you know? So you don't need massive numbers. You just need a small subset of people that's willing to spend top dollar for you. You know, where you can venture into selling physical, you can venture into selling CDs, you can venture into those things, man, and make some money for yourself. Even experiences, live performance, performing live. Like, artists don't do that neither. Utilizing the live streaming features on these platforms like YouTube to jump on and perform live and, you know, take advantage of super chats and stuff like that. It's just not things that artists tend to do, man, you know? So, yeah, man, I just wanted to jump on and talk about that because it was just in my head. It was something that I was just thinking about, you know, and it was just stuck with me. And I was just like, oh, man, I just want to talk about this, man. Yeah, share with people, man. Because like I said, again, I just be seeing that on Instagram and even with YouTube where it's just like all of these ads, man. You know, it's somebody is like, I got so-and-so this number of streams. Here's my system, right? Or somebody like, right? And somebody like, you know, I got myself this number of streams. Here's my system, right? And these things are just particular to individual people. It's not even really a system. It's just a lot of times they just got lucky. You know, they ran an ad and it just resonated with people and it clicked. And sometimes it can be insulting to some extent, right? Because it makes it seem as if it was them and not the artist and the music. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can do this with any artist. And it's like, reality of the situation is, if you can do it with any artist, then why are you just showing me one guy? You know, who else have you done this for? How many times has this system worked, right? And mainly, how many artists have you taken from nothing to something, right? Not that you took, like, you got people who will, like, it was a company, man. I remember, man, an artist that I work with, they work with like a PR company that their claim to fame was that they were like the PR firm for Beyonce, which is like, how much hard work do you really have to put into getting Beyonce press, really? You know, but it's like on their whole website, it was just all about, we work with Beyonce, 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 right? And then they charge people out the ass to work with them because of the fact that they used to work with Beyonce. Now, when they're working with an artist that isn't established, they can't get them press. And that was the situation with that particular artist. They struggled to get that artist pressed because they're not a good PR firm. They can't get, you know, they don't know how to basically create narratives and stuff like that to get a company to cover somebody. It's just more so, yo, well, with Beyonce, we just pick up the phone and say, hey, she has a new album out and press, you know? And a lot of times, man, with some of these guys that's talking about their marketing and stuff like that, man, it's the artists that they deal with and what the artists already have in tow and the systems that the artists already have. And the artists sometimes be self-doubting and wanting things to happen faster than what they'll happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like an artist might have a few thousand listeners a month, but artists get antsy and they're like, when is it going to take off for me? When is it going to happen? Right? They want to get signed. They want to blow, things of that nature. So the artist that's getting, you know, thousands of streams on their own feels like, yo, I need somebody to help take me to the next level. Right? And the reality of the situation is, yo, all you need to do is just keep doing what you're doing. And at some point, you know, you'll develop a fan base and things of that nature, but they get antsy and they'll go out there and hire a marketing firm. And then the marketing firm will, you know, effectively take a budget and get what they pay for, which is activity. So then they'll get more streams and more activity because they're spending money for it. And then it's like, a lot of times the artist recognizes like, damn, you know, at the end of the day, like, I really didn't get nothing for my money and they don't spend on the ad, but then the advertiser can go out and be like, hey, look what I did for this artist and get more people to use their service, you know. But by and large, man, you know, it's like I said again, it's a lot of variables that's involved with it, man, and you got to kind of think deeper with it and what your objective is and what you plan to do and what you're trying to do and stuff like that, man, you know, really, man, you know. And I mean, the reality of the situation is it's like, yeah, it ain't easy, man. It ain't as easy as people like to try to make it seem, you know, where people talk about TikTok and just put a song up on TikTok and, you know, you get all of these streams and stuff, man. And I'm looking at people on, like, I just screenshot, and I don't try to blow people up. So you know, I try to blur people's faces and names and stuff. But I was looking at this guy on Instagram the other day, you know, and I think he was bragging about followers or something. But it's like the guy had like 100,000 Instagram followers, but like 17 monthly listeners on Spotify. You know, and I see that a lot with TikTok too, where people was bragging about having like 1 million TikTok views or something like that, and they got like no listeners on Spotify and nobody watching their videos on YouTube. And you know, it's and the reason for that is it's a particular thing, man. These songs, it's particular types of songs that work in these places, particular types of personality types that work good for these places. And you got to have the kind of music and the kind of personality type for your music to thrive in these places, you know? And when people put music up on there, a lot of times if somebody do a little dance to it, other people just want to get in on the act and they'll join the fun. But it's like, yo, man, what you're looking for by and large is impact, right? Impact, right? The people that responded to this, can I sell them something? Will they buy something from me? You know what I'm saying? Will they buy something from me? Anything. You know, can I sell them a CD, a vinyl, a shirt, a hat, a live experience? Will they participate in that? Even taking it to a free experience, right? Like some people, man, they run these campaigns, they get all of this activity, right? These guys sell these, all of this activity. We'll get you so many TikTok videos. We'll get you so many streams. And then organically, the artists go and do a pre-save, and the only people that pre-save the release are their friends, right? You look through the list of emails that you got from the pre-save, and it's all people you know. You know, like, oh, that's James from up the block. That's Jimmy from across the street. That's Cindy I went to high school with, right? That's Linda. I used to work at Rite Aid with her. You know, you know all of the people that signed up for the pre-save list after you spent all of this money marketing your music with these guys, and they got you all of these big numbers. Nobody signs up for your pre-save. You do a premiere of your music video. Chat room, crickets, nobody participating, nobody there, nobody active. You know, like those are the things that kind of like tells you whether a campaign really performed well or not, man. I mean, even things like changing your fans also like on Spotify. You know, like if you've got people really rocking with you and listening to you, like you start out as an artist, if you get one, you know, like a fan's also like in Spotify, you might start out with like small numbers, you know, like you might start out with maybe, you know, artists in your neighborhood that might have a similar amount of monthly listeners to you. So if you got like 100 monthly listeners, the artist you're associated with might have 100 monthly listeners, you know? And if they can't identify who your audience is and you got a large number of streams, you still will be associated with artists with small monthly listeners. But if somebody is marketing your music and the music is effective, that should change. Right? If you start getting big numbers, then you should be associated with other artists that are somewhat semi-established or, you know, at least known to some extent within the subgenre or within a group of people that are also generating numbers as well, you know? And some of these folks, man, especially these people who play the game of I advertise my music and here's what I got for my streams. Like I checked out one of them dudes, man, and their fans also like was no lie. The other people who be on YouTube talking about here's what I did with my music. You know what I'm saying? And you know why that is because a lot of them, they feature each other. So it's like one of them will do a YouTube video with another one, and then the another one will do a YouTube video with another one, and they kind of like a sharing audiences. And the only people that's consistently listening to their music are their YouTube viewers, like the artists that tune in to get the tips and tricks. So the artists that tune in to get the tips and tricks will go and stream their music, and that's the only consistent audience that they have. So the algorithm looks and they say, okay, well, the guy that streams this guy's music streams that guy's music. These guys are linked. And then you just see these guys ranked as similar, the same way they ranked on similar on YouTube with their YouTube videos, man, you know? And that's a big reason why, you know, even when I started this channel, because I started this channel when I was, you know, still actively doing music, you know, and I don't really do music, you know, no more like that. But, you know, I might someday, right? Be old man Gift out here rappity tappity. Yo, I tell you, you're faking the funk, right? But I mean, when I was active, I tried to make a point to keep it separate, to not focus, to not focus and try to get people who were like watching these videos to learn the music business to stream my to stream my music, because I am somewhat of a purist. I want people to listen to my music because they like it, and to be fans of my music because they like it, and to not have it tainted, and to not have artists feel like, okay, you know, I'm supporting this guy because he gives me good information and I want to ingratiate myself with him. So maybe, you know, he'll give me a service for free, or maybe, you know, it can be like a reciprocity thing where he sees I'm supporting him and then he supports me. You know, like I never liked that kind of system. I never wanted to be bothered with that, even as an artist on the scene and the circuits and stuff like that. Like I was always honest with other artists that I knew, friends that I had. Like, I never liked the game of reciprocity. So somebody tells me, yo, man, I'm feeling your song. That joint is hot. If they play a record for me and I don't like it, I'm like, yo, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people will lie. They'll say, oh, yo, this record is hot, because they want you to support them. And they feel like if they're honest with you and they tell you that they don't like your song, you won't support their song. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even a matter of telling you the truth. And, you know, it's more so I want you to support me. So I'm going to do this fake support of you, but you're not really helping them with that. You know what I'm saying? It's not really helping anybody with that. But that's the game that a lot of people play, man. And you see it on social media too, with the follow and the comments and stuff like that. A lot of people will follow you just to bring attention to themselves and the hopes that you'll follow them back, you know, comment on your post just to bring attention to themselves and the hopes that you'll go and maybe comment or follow them, right? And that type of stuff, man, you know? But yeah, let me see what y'all talking about in the chat room before I get back to life, y'all. Word up. And I'm on my phone, so yeah, pardon. Let me see. How do I even get to these comments here? Is there a way to get to the comments from your phone? All right, let's see. Let me see who in here. Just shout everybody out real quick. Lady Likeness, RTP, Long Distance Traveler, you always up, man. James Levin or Levine, Elijah Hughes, Dwayne Stows, D Wood, Jay Rigo was good. Jared Olivo, Mr. Mac Music, Lil Pora Official, J.O. Pedro. Yeah, man. Let's see. Pasha. What's up? Yeah, man. Let me see what's good, man. Gifo Stream, what's up? A stream is looking like a Satoshi. Yeah, man. I mean, streaming revenue, streaming is not a lot, man. And like I said again, the more artists, the more streams, the less everybody makes. Elijah B. Moore just checking in. Speak that truth. Facts. Word up. Yeah, man. RTP says you have to approach it historically. Jay Rigo says can't guarantee the gimmick. That's why I appreciate your vibes, because you always just honest about it up front. I'd always rather do business with somebody genuine about the process. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, I ain't here to blow smoke up nobody ass, man. Uh, at the end of the day, success has its own rewards. So if you work with people and you can drive genuine results, man, that'll effectively lead you to a better place than lying to people and manipulating people, because all of those things will get discovered at some point, man. And not and sometimes people don't understand what you did for them rather until later. So sometimes some artists that I work with, man, they don't understand the value of what I do. But it's like, listen, artists that I worked with 3 4 years ago, they haven't advertised since, and they're still getting like 5 and 6 thousand streams a month from the stuff that I did from them 3 years ago. You know, Lil Pora says, yes, it ain't easy. You need to invest in your craft. I mean, yeah, that's another thing. It ain't cheap, man. A lot of people get themselves in trouble trying to go the cheap way, saying, okay, well, I want to get a whole bunch of activity for $50 or $100. And the reality of the situation is it's not happening for that tiny kind of money, man. You need like a actual budget. And if you ain't got it, you're better off just saving your money and waiting than just spending little bits of money to not really do much, man, or to get scammed effectively. Because by and large, whatever services you could find for that kind of money is gonna be some type of scam. D Wood said there is no checks and balances on these marketing scams. That's why it's skeptical for artists. Straight up, money don't grow on trees in life. Nope, that's true. Artists are paying to put themselves on these days. That is why there is a lot of whack artists these days. I mean, I think there is a lot of whack artists because whack artists are under no illusion that people owe them anything because of their talent. Whack artists know that they're whack, effectively, a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? So they look at it purely from a business standpoint. I want to pay for fame and success, and a lot of times artists with talent, and believe me, I know because I was one of those artists, feel like all I got to do is put my talent on display and everything will work for me. So it's like, even in the sense of with me, if an artist got talent, they don't reach out to me to like pay for the services, right? A lot of times they'll reach out to me to hear the music, because the way that they feel is I'm going to listen to that song, I'm going to be blown away by their talent, and then I'm going to do it for free because I just believe in their talent and think that, hey, man, this guy's going to go somewhere and I want to be in association with him. I don't know what they think is going to do for me if they succeed. Maybe they feel like, I'll blow up and then, I'll put you on once I get on and stuff like that. But yeah, by and large, you get that a lot of times from the most talented artists. They don't want to do all of the other stuff that they feel like other people have to do because they're not as talented. So that's why you have a lot of less talented artists get on, because they're willing to function like a business, spend the money, do the marketing, all of that different type of stuff. And the artists with the talent just want to walk in and sing or rap and have everybody else be like, oh my God, you're so talented, let's do it for you, right? And that's where a lot of those guys kind of get stuck, man. And in retrospect, if I knew then what I knew now, I would probably have been way farther along, as a music artist. I mean, there's other reasons, why things didn't work out for your boy Gift, man. Like I feel like on a personal note, right? I know too much, right? It's like you can't not know, you can't unlearn things. And in the music business, people seek to take advantage of people's ignorance. And if people can't effectively abuse you and maximize the amount of money that they can make off of you, then they rather not deal with you. They rather find somebody that they can get over on. And fortunately and unfortunately for me, when I was in high school, I had a music teacher by the name of Emery Jones that schooled me on music from early, right? Me and my friends like, yeah, we got a rap group. And he like, you got a rap group? He like, yo, you don't want to be signed. You want to be independent. And he talked about the benefits of being independent and controlling your music and all this other stuff. And when I was 14, my manager, Tone, he had bought a book, all about the music business. And he gave me that book. And I read that book and I studied that book and stuff like that. So it was like just a whole bunch of stuff that I knew from early on, where I went around people and they was like, nah, I can't give this guy any kind of deal. I can't tell him anything. He just won't believe it, right? And I can't get what I want out of him. So I'd rather not deal with him. So I had deals on the table and stuff like that. But you see things like people want to own your masters forever, right? People want, the ability to own your name and likeness and to be able to use your name and likeness however they see fit. Stuff like that. So it's like when you look at that stuff and you like, nah, I'm not signing that, and you don't end up signing deals, man. And a lot of artists end up in deals because they don't bother to read that stuff. Now, you can make the argument about maybe they're in a better position, right? Because it's like they make more money than what they would have made had they not signed it. But at the same time, they got a lot of stress, depression, all this other stuff because of the circumstances and situations that they put themselves in with signing it, man. And I'm going to tell y'all something about just like signing these deals too, again, once I read through some of these comments. Sup, mate? Real legend of independent artists. Ah, man. Uh, All right, Lil Pora. I mean, this is Jay Rigo replying to Lil Pora. He said, "Paying out to put yourself on is one thing, but at the end of the day, if the engagement stays, then that's the equivalent to that whack artist finding fans." Feel me? Oh, I don't know what y'all talking about. There's an audience for everybody. You just gotta find yours. Yeah, and listen about the finding your audience thing. There is a point to that, and that is that cost can run you out. So it's like if you are doing it organically, then hey, you just keep putting up songs and until something clicks. But spending money, there is like if it's too expensive to find an audience, then you know you're gonna have to make some tough decisions, right? So it's like if you put out a song and it's costing you $30 per listener, yo, can you afford to keep pushing that song? You might have to stop and push another song, right? Because it's like, if it's that expensive to get a listener, you need a new song. You need a new bag, effectively. So that's something that you got to keep in mind, man. It's like, yo, you look at your conversion rates with that song and the cost per listener with that song. And if it's too high, you look at it and you say, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me to get 1,000 listeners with the percentage of people that are responding to this song? And if you look at that, and this might cost you $30,000 or $40,000 to get 1,000 listeners, going by the conversion rates for that song, then try another song. And if you keep trying songs and you keep getting the same kind of numbers, then you got to look yourself in the mirror and make some tough decisions, man. And that's the honest truth. I mean, this business ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't meant to be a successful artist, man, and be famous and all of this other stuff, man. And that's how you got DJs and A&Rs and all these other people that do these things in the business. All of these people at some point in time wanted to be rappers, wanted to be singers, but that wasn't the thing that was for them, right? And they turned out to be better at those other things. They turned out to be better at A&R, and they turned out to be better as engineers. They turned out to be better as producers and stuff like that, songwriters, things of that nature. So it's like it ain't always to kind of try to force a square peg into a round hole. Sometimes you got to understand, okay, well, if this ain't working out, then maybe this ain't the lane for me. Let me see what else is there. Because sometimes you got people who are great songwriters, but they're just not artists. Like they're just not recording artists. They ain't got the voice, they ain't got the look, they ain't got the swag, and there's nothing wrong with that. People need good songs. You know what I'm saying? So you can write demos and get into the right rooms and get song credits and stuff like that because you can write songs, but you're not a good performer. You know, there is no je ne sais quoi about you where you hit the stage and everybody's mesmerized and things like that. Like, you just got people who just have it. They walk into a room and it's like magnetism. Everybody is just like gravitating towards them. And you got people who just don't have that, man. You know what I'm saying? You got people who are great lyricists, but they just don't have the voice to match the lyricism. And, you know, those artists don't really go very far. You look at these big artists, man, they got things about them. You know, they got unique voices, they got unique styles, they got, you know, a certain level of uniqueness to them. Long distance traveler says, I just gonna listen to old man Gift because he got the best hat and best smile. First single will be Get Off My Lawn. Get Off My Lawn is a classic. I think I was singing that song the other day. Jay Rigo says, then there is that other half too that pay to pump their numbers so they appear to be big. Such a waste. Yeah, listen, and there is something to pumping numbers. I'm not gonna say that there isn't, but it's all circumstantial. So, like, pumping numbers is effective if, say, let's say I got a radio contact. Like, I got a friend that works at a radio station, and I'm like, yo, man, you need to play my song. Yo, man, you need to play my song. That guy has a program director, and he cannot play a song that his program director doesn't approve of. So he has to sell that song to his program director, and he can't go to the program director and be like, yo, my homeboy got a hot record, let's play it. The program director's like, what evidence is there that this song is hot? Right now, key one is I have the contact. I know somebody that works at a station that can get my song played. I just need to provide some type of proof that it's a song worth playing. So if I go out there and I pump the numbers and I come back to that guy and I'm like, yo, man, my song got 100 million streams or something like that, then that guy can take it to the radio programmer and be like, yo, the song got 100 million streams, we need to play it. And the radio programmer, if he's not somebody that like does research and he just looks at surface numbers, he looks at the numbers and he say, okay, cool, well, it's got 100 million streams, guess people must like it, let's play it, right? So it's like pumping can do well for people in that regard. You know, like you look at shows like Love and Hip Hop and you wonder how those artists and those people got on those shows where you like, I don't know who this person is, never heard of them in my life, never heard their music, like who are these people, right? Some of them don't even have music out. It's like associations, you know, people be strippers, you know, and establish contacts like that, and you know, have people that they know through that, you know, dating people that they go out with, you know, stuff like that. Another big thing in music is being the drug man, you know, being a guy that when people come to your town or your city, you know where the drugs are, right? And they know where to send that person to get the weed, to get the coke or whatever have you, and they establish contacts like that, and their friends can get put on through them, you know, where it's like, yo, I got a hot record, yo, take this record to so and so and see if they'll put me on. You know what I'm saying? And if you got the numbers to back it up, then you know they can take you to so and so that they know could, when that person comes to town and be like, yo, I got this homeboy, his joint is going crazy, look at the numbers, and maybe that gets that person to check it out and listen to it. But by and large, you already need to be in a system. You already need to have the contacts, right, where those numbers matter. Those numbers don't bring attention on their own. It's not like, you know, there is somebody that's just searching for who got 10,000 streams a month. That's not happening, right? Like, in order for numbers to happen without you already having the resources and connections, you need to chart, you know? And listen, the people who are on the charts are getting like 1 million streams a day. So it's like artists getting 1 million streams a month is like a drop in a bucket. So yeah, you are not making no noise with numbers unless the numbers are high enough for you to like be like the #1 Instagrammer or top 10 in streaming or something like that. If your numbers ain't that big, then the numbers don't help unless you have a contact and you are, you know, basically manipulating your contacts with fake numbers. Trap House Supermodel says, do you offer campaigns? Yes, I do. But, you know, I mean, listen, what it comes down to is working with rational people that understand that, yo, it's not a miracle worker. It's about the artist doing the work as well as me doing the work. So it's a partnership. We're a team, you know. So it's like I do my work to get the music exposed and to find the fans and stuff like that. But the artist on their end has to do the work as well with their branding and how they communicate with their audience and stuff like that, you know. And that's by and large how everything was so effective with Billy Bodega, because it was a partnership. It was me doing my job and her doing her job, you know. So she had her brand, she had her identity, who she knew she wanted to, what she wanted to present herself to the world as, right? She would play with her audience, ask them questions, you know, do Q&As, right? Do things like, if you were taking me out on a date, where would you take me? Stuff like that, you know, with her audience. So, you know, it was things like that that cultivated a relationship with those fans, man, and facilitated being able to do more, like sell out a show, you know, and to be able to get these people to buy digital downloads and stuff like that, because the relationship was there. So it's a two-part system. Yeah, Jay Rigo says true. Sometimes the benefits come long term. Can't just advertise or promote and expect to be doing the Cowboys arena the next month. Where sometimes you see the best benefits a few months later. Yo, and sometimes you don't need to advertise at all, man. Like, listen, I had an album called View of a Loser that I put out, and I would give people that album for free, and they would come back and pay me for it, because the music just resonated with them to that extent. They just loved it that much, and they felt like it touched them, you know. And that album, listen, man, I had people all over the world contacting me, telling me how much that album meant to them and things of that nature. I had like a dude in Philadelphia bootlegging the album, you know, and that album I didn't spend no money to promote, you know, it just circulated online. And then I had an album that I spent money advertising, Exile, which people just didn't understand, you know. It was like a play, you know, in the musical form, or really like a musical album, I guess, you know. But that one, I spent money advertising, and it just didn't click. People just didn't respond to it like that, you know. Meanwhile, and I went and got that song mixed and that album mixed and mastered in a whole nine. And then it's like when I was just toying around trying to learn how to like record myself, I used some like bootleg software program, recorded a song in the closet called If They Only Knew, upload it to SoundCloud, and people start sharing that song like crazy. Everybody starts sharing it. People like, yo, man, this song got mad heart, just because it was just a touching song, you know, and it resonate with people. So it's nothing guaranteed in this, you know. Just because you advertise a song don't mean that's going to be the successful song. And by and large, like I said again, as long as a song gets heard, if it's a great song, yo, it can gain traction without no marketing, you know. If you had 11 songs in the vault, what would your marketing plan be with $5,000? Well, the number of songs doesn't have anything to do with the marketing plan. You know what I'm saying? Quantity ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You know, it's about what that song is about, you know, what kind of marketing you can do with that song. You know, it's a bunch of different variables that factor into that, man. But if you want to pick my brain about it, man, definitely, man, you could hit the link in the description box, man, set up a consultation, man. We could chop it up. Paige Anderson says, does what you do work for rock and roll? I am a black rock and roller. I mean, what I do works for any art form, because it's not just the style that's particular to any style of music. What I do is try to find your music is going to resonate with. And lucky for me, right, I have a wife that has a very eclectic ear. So when an artist sends me music and I cannot pinpoint what that song reminds me of or where it fits, I'll go to my wife and I'll play it. And I say, hey, where does this fit? And she'll be like, hey, that's a punk rock song. Or hey, that's this kind of song. And sometimes we don't have the exact genre, but we get enough to go on a research trend, right? So we'll go to Google and or YouTube, and we'll start looking up artists that are in genres that we feel like remind us of that artist. And when we find a series of artists within a certain style of music that remind us of that, then we say, oh, that artist fits there, right? And then that's who we target. and see if we're right. You know what I'm saying? And you get different types and different genres, and you try to identify. But it starts with that, man. Like actually listening to the music and doing the research to try to see where the artist fits. Not so much being like, okay, well, this tends to work for everybody, so let me just do what works for everybody. But customizing things to the particular artist that you're dealing with. Diamond Stone TV says, "Damn, bro, why you don't manage artists? I mean, you do know damn near everything already. I mean, listen, man, managing artists is thankless. Artists, you know, artists are artists, man. You know what I'm saying? And it can be challenging. And I see a lot of people that work with artists right now that work with me, and it's frustrating. They pay to run a campaign for an artist, but the artist wants to have numbers that impresses their friends, so they go out and buy fake streams and stuff like that and pollute the data pool and things of that nature, man. And then it's like artists be having egos, so it's kind of like that Ice Cube thing where he say, hey, if you don't make them famous, they blame you. If you make them famous, they leave you, that type of stuff, man. So it can be thankless, man. So I would rather help artists, right? But I don't want to manage, what I'm saying? I don't want to take that hat on. J.O. Pedro says, what do you think of the current streaming business royalty rates model? I think it sucked. I don't like it. It needs to change, And they talking about equitable enumeration, I think, where they would effectively play Robin Hood and force like almost like a wealth tax, where the artists that make the most from streaming, they would take a percentage of their revenue and split it amongst everybody else. And I don't know how y'all feel about that idea. Yo, my guy, I've been watching you for years. No cap, learning from you as well. I'm one of the biggest bloggers in Texas. How can I get in contact with you, my guy? Talk business. Hey, you can hit me up, man. payusnomine@gmail.com, man. That's my email. You can also hit me up at payusnomine on Instagram, man. I mean, there's links to my contact in the description. Word up, man. Yeah, man. And one last thing I say, yeah, Mr. Acknell is like, yo, what's the smartest way to run an IG campaign? Yo, hit me up, man. Just set up a console, bro, and we could go through it. We could talk about it, man. But real quick, I wanted to say this, man. Because y'all know I do, digital distribution review videos, and I try to be, as fair as possible. But I'm gonna issue a warning right now. You know, all of y'all. And y'all need to tell your friends too that are artists, stay away from United Masters. Stay away from United Masters. Like I read their terms of service again the day before yesterday. And listen, man, it's to a point where I'm not even going to review them anymore because I don't even want people to like look at what they have to offer and say, oh man, look at what they got to offer. Let me use them. Because the offer is great, but the terms are horrible. So if I go through the offer and I just say, hey, unlimited distribution, $50 a year, you get to have all of this different stuff. They're not charging you a whole bunch of money. I was like, oh man. But the terms, man, effectively, they are taking control of artists' music and to some extent their careers. The terms that they have in there effectively state that you cannot stop them from licensing your music to third parties. Even with they can give a third party an exclusive license to your music and you can't say no. You know what I'm saying? They have like backward language in there where it's like we won't do anything you won't approve of. But at the same time, they saying things like you can't say no for reasons